Uz brojne uznemiravajuće i potresne prizore koje svakodnevno viđamo na ekranima diljem svijeta, teško je ostati optimističan. Iako se u posljednjem desetljeću povećao očekivani životni vijek čovjeka, pristup zdravstvenoj skrbi ostaje povlasticom bogatijih zemalja. Mora li biti tako? Čini se da bi ulaganje u prevenciju bolesti bilo doista korisno i društveno i ekonomski. Svaki dan diljem svijeta tvorci promjene potvrđuju tu ideju. Gar Jaffet, Jack Sim i nasljednici doktora Venkataswamija aktivno djeluju na tom području kako bi našli inovativna rješenja za probleme javnog zdravstva. Cilj im je bio smisliti trajna rješenja za sanitarne probleme našega doba, a razvojem i primjenom tih novih rješenja dokazuju da je njihov cilj dostižan. Johannesburg je s više od 3 milijuna stanovnika najveći grad u Južnoafričkoj republici. Kao gospodarsko središte zemlje privlači tisuće nezaposlenih i neregistriranih migranata sa sela i susjednih zemalja. Njihova očajnička potraga za poslom najčešće ih vodi do slamova, bez nade u budućnost. U tim sirotinskim predgrađima sida je prava pošast. U Južnoafričkoj republici zaražena je 1/5 stanovnika, što je zapanjujuće. Dr. Gar Jaffet smislio je nov pristup problemima javnog zdravstva.
I'm Garth Jaffet and I'm the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Heartlines, and before that of Soul City. This is my work. I still think I'm a doctor. I'm just using different ways of being a doctor. So, making films and communication. I'm more interested in health than I am in disease.
U uredima Heartlinesa u Johannesburgu, Gard Jaffet i njegova ekipa pripremaju se za put u Waterwall Bone. Prisustvovat će snimanju televizijskog filma koji prikazuje stanovnike gradića smještenog sjeverno od glavnog grada. Gartu Jaffetu isprva nije bilo suđeno postati televizijskim producentom. On je poneprije doktor medicine koji je život posvetio brizi za siromašne.
Well, I always wanted to work in Africa to make a difference to my people, to my continent, and I thought that being a doctor would be a good way to do that. So I finished my medical studies in 1987, which was still here in South Africa, a time of apartheid. I then went and worked for the next 5 years, mainly in rural areas, and then ended up in a township called Alexandra Township in Johannesburg. And I soon found out after some years of work that seeing 100 people a day, and then they came back with the same problems, they'd go back to the situations that had caused that problem, was very frustrating. And so many of the issues that we were dealing with, particularly at that time I was working with children, the biggest cause of death in South Africa for children under the age of 5 was diarrhea. And that is very preventable. No child should die of diarrhea. It's just because they lose fluid, they become dehydrated. realized that if I was going to make a real difference, it wasn't going to be enough to just see one-on-one and have 5 minutes with you and then the next one and so on.
Otkrića Garta Jaffeta vrlo su potresna. Prema njegovom mišljenju, zdravstvena njega kakva se prakticira u slamovima Južnoafričke republike ne može zaustaviti širenje bolesti.
I began to understand that one of the big issues was about communication and asked myself the question, how do we reach people who are no longer in the school system, particularly? In our busy hospitals and clinics, there is no time to talk, really to educate. And why can't we make medical issues interesting and attractive and become real life?
Dr. Jaffet odlučuje iskoristiti medije. Prvo je pisao medicinsku kolumnu u listu Sowetan, prije nego što je prešao na radio i televiziju, što je bila potpuna promjena u njegovoj karijeri.
I had the idea to create a drama series that would go prime time, that would, would compete as a piece of television in its own right. I realized a few things. Number one is, just because we were doing health issues didn't mean to say people would watch. So it has to be best quality entertainment.
No, Daddy, stop!
The other thing, the unique thing about what was to become Soul City was that I didn't start with one issue. I didn't say I wanted to do a TV series on AIDS. I said, let's try and create a platform that will become popular over time. And then let us deal with many issues as this thing becomes bigger.
I can't be HIV positive. You get it mostly from sex, right?
So that was the start of Soul City, and our first series was 6 weeks after the first elections in 1994.
Am I going to die?
And what was Soul City was also where I was working, Alexandra Township, Alexandra Clinic. So the clinic where I was working was in fact also the place where the drama took place.
Televizijska serija Soul City emitira se i na radiju i na televiziji. Teme pokrivaju razna pitanja, uključujući imunitet, dojenje, proljev, dehidraciju, zdravlje majki, sidu, problem dišnih puteva, trovanja i opekline. Gart Jaffet i njegova ekipa ciljaju uglavnom na mlađu publiku. Serija je ujedno i obrazovna, te se distribuira školama. Soul City nadopunjuje još jedna televizijska serija, Soul Buddies, namijenjena mlađima od 15 godina. Danas je velikoj većini južnoafričkih kućanstava dostupna televizija i te dvije serije svaki tjedan gledaju milijuni. Kambodža ima velike zalihe slatke vode. Rijeka Mekong dominira većinom zemlja, jezero Tonle Sap golem je spremnik slatke vode u unutrašnjosti. Kambodžanski način života u cijelosti je prilagođen takvom okolišu. No danas više od 60% stanovnika nema pristup sigurnoj pitkoj vodi, što je velik problem javnog zdravstva. Kolera, dizenterija, tifus, hepatitis, gliste, proljev, sve su to bolesti koje se prenose vodom. Posljedice su upravo katastrofalne. Smrtnost dojenčadi u Kambodži među najvišima je u Aziji. Glavni su uzrok bolesti koje se šire onečišćenom vodom. Jack Sim našao je novo rješenje za prevladavanje te teške situacije. Njegova borba za bolje javno zdravstvo neobičan je pohod protiv rasprostranjenog tabua, nužnika.
My name is Jack Sim. I'm the founder of the World Toilet Organization, We are a global network of toilet activists around the world, and we break the taboo on toilets and try to improve quality of life on this subject.
Jack Sim, utemeljitelj je Svjetske organizacije za nužnike, neprofitne udruge sa sjedištem u Singapuru. Njegova je vizija da svi na svijetu imaju pristup sigurnim i dostupnim nužnicima. Putuje svijetom kako bi nagovorio udruge građana, vladine agencije i proračunske odbore da se hitno sastanu i djeluju. Zahvaljujući njemu, Ujedinjeni narodi službeno su 19. studenog proglasili Svjetskim danom nužnika.
Everything happens by accident, really. This is not a planned journey of the life. When I read the newspaper one morning, where the Prime Minister of Singapore was saying that we should measure our graciousness according to the cleanliness of our public toilet. So I thought, nobody will do this subject, so why don't I start a restroom association?
So this one is done like that. Urine go to the front, feces come behind, and then anal washing. So one step back and anal washing.
Osnovana 2001. godine sa samo 15 članova, Svjetska organizacija za nužnike danas ima 203 podružnice u 56 zemalja. Jack Sim aktivno radi na tom području sa svojim brojnim partnerima.
So this is your
Nevladina organizacija Linkade, jedan je od tih partnera, razvila je 2 velika projekta kako bi poboljšala sanitarne uvjete u Kambodži. Sjedište te organizacije na obali je jezera Tonle Sap.
I don't know about the definition of social entrepreneur in a strict sense, because what I do is to create a global platform for conversation and to connect people to solutions, to find the best practices and don't need to reinvent the wheel so that everyone can scale up and share this information.
U zajednici poput plutajućeg sela Čnog Tru, razumjeti kruženje vode znači razumjeti blizak odnos koji ljudi imaju sa svojim okolišem. Potpuno su okruženi vodom. To je njihov način života. Koriste se njome za piće, kuhanje, pranje, ribolov. No, nažalost, služi im i kao odvod i zahodska jama. Grad Maduraj smješten je u južnoj indijskoj državi Tamil Nadu. Kulturna prijestolnica i središte tamilskog područja, Madura je dom više od 1 milijuna ljudi. Svake godine glasoviti Minakšin hram privlači tisuće hodočasnika i turista. Kao i u cijeloj Indiji, i u Maduraju je broj stanovnika strelovito porastao. Veliki su problemi javnog zdravstva. Malarija, sida, tuberkuloza i pothranjenost izazivaju najveću zabrinutost onih koji se bave javnim zdravstvom. U Maduraju čak i najsiromašniji imaju pristup kvalitetnoj oftalmološkoj skrbi. U očnoj bolnici Aravind liječe se 1000 pacijenata. Bolnica je otvorena zahvaljujući odlučnosti i energiji njezina utemeljitelja, doktora Venkata Swamija.
Dr. V, as you are calling Dr. Venkata Swami, is the founder of this organization. But by the time he retired at the age of 58 in 1976, he wanted to continue the same service. But our government wouldn't allow because he is already 58. And so he thought that he will set up a hospital or institution with the same kind of work. But for that, he has to do a large volume, but he has to serve the people who cannot afford to pay. So he has to find a way to start a trust. And that's the time he depended on his family.
U početku je bolnica Aravind imala samo 11 kreveta. Danas u zemlji postoji 5 bolnica Aravind s ukupno više od 4000 kreveta. Između travnja 2006. i ožujka 2007. u njima se liječilo više od 2,3 milijuna pacijenata i obavljeno je više od 270.000 operacija. No stvaranje bolnice Aravind ne bi bilo moguće bez aktivnog sudjelovanja članova osnivačeve obitelji. Dr. Srivanasan, nečak je uglednog doktora Venkata Swamija.
Dr. V had touched every life of the people who are working here today. In one way or the other, it is his philosophy that we are all following. Dr. V was influencing by his presence. He was just sitting in the office reading something, or he was just there, but his presence was felt even when he was there. And Dr. V was kind of revered as a person even within the organization, and he was a role model, not in doing, but just in being.
Prema Svjetskoj zdravstvenoj organizaciji u svijetu ima gotovo 37 milijuna slijepaca. Polovina živi u Indiji.
முதல்ல மைனர் ஆப்ரேஷன் பண்ணுறதா அப்படின்றத முடிவு பண்ணணும். சரிதானா? இன்னொரு இடத்துக்கு கூட்டிகிட்டு போவாங்க.
என்னம்மா காலைல விழுந்து கும்பிடுறது ஒன்று செய்வமாக இருந்தால் போதும். சாவந்தண்டியா குடிக்க இப்போ புளிச்செடியை கூட குடிச்சிட்டு கிடப்பேன் சாமி. இது இல்லைன்னா என்ன இருக்குது சொல்லுங்க. கண்ணு தானே அதான் இன்னைக்கு என்னம்மா ஆண்டவன் தான் காப்பாற்றணும். என்ன நீங்களும் எல்லாம் சேர்ந்து காப்பாற்றிட்டு போங்க சாமி.
Slijepac je u indijskom društvu osuđen na siromaštvo. Ljudi pogođeni sljepoćom često ne mogu zadovoljiti svoje potrebe. Bolesni su i potpuno ovisni. U mnogim se slučajevima takva situacija može izbjeći. Bolesti koje izazivaju sljepoću često se mogu izliječiti, tretira li ih se na vrijeme.
The magnitude of blindness is any disease when you take it which cause vision impairment is more in India. Maybe because of population-wise we are great, we are having more number of people, but some reason or other, the common disease, what we call cataract, the cloudiness of the lens, is more common in India. Still, we don't know what causes it. And also, the government alone cannot do this because most of the people, 80% of them, 90% of them who cannot afford to have any kind of service. So our aim, our goal should be not only to not only cure the disease, but also prevent them from going blind and improve the nation's economy, nation's literacy, nation's whatever we call them.
Kad je primijenio nov oblik odnosa liječnika i pacijenta, dr. Venkata Swami mogao osnovati bolnicu Aravind. Danas je ta bolnica velik sustav koji se proteže do najudaljenijih područja Indije. Nudi vrhunsku opremu i tehnologiju. Izobrazba osoblja, podjela rada, proizvodnja opreme, sve je smišljeno tako da se maksimalno poveća broj zahvata i smanje troškovi. U Južnoafričkoj republici jedan je drugi liječnik okupio iznimno učinkovitu ekipu kako bi se suočio s problemima javnog zdravstva. Emisija Garta Džafeta mnogo je više od televizijske serije. Ona je sredstvo za promjenu duboko ukorijenjenih stajališta. Joel Sebalao, član njegove ekipe, ima i važnu ulogu u uspjehu Soul Citya. Njegova je dužnost radom na terenu uspostaviti jaku vezu sa zajednicom.
God for me is a number of people. He's a friend, he's a brother, he's a mentor, and he's a leader. It's because of God to be where I am, to be able to have a job, the education that I have. Because if it wasn't for him, to be honest with you, one would have been in jail or maybe dead. When Garth came into my life, things changed. Before Garth's era, my father passed away, and I had a lot of things that I was doing, criminal activities that I was doing. One would steal cars, hijack cars, and even break into the houses, or white properties for that matter, white businesses. But when Garth came into my life, things started to change, and for the better. Then that was like 15 years ago. Introduced me to Soul City and showed me the importance of education.
We came from different worlds, and in the time before apartheid, in the apartheid years, you know, I was in a completely white school. Joe was in a black school here in the township. I was in the suburbs. So the relationship with Joe has been, he's a friend of mine, and I'm proud to call Joe a friend after many years, is that, you know, working with people like him who is able to give insight into the community, into how to work with people who lived in situations like this, how we could best help them. So, yeah, I think a lot of what I've learned from this man and I trust Joe. You know, I'd really valued his judgment and friendship, so we've grown together. Yeah.
So wherever you go, you want to use a condom. Hey, relax.
I've been watching Soul since the day I started on TV, and I've learned so much about HIV, about poverty, about child abuse, so many things. They've taught me so much. I remember the scene where the man was abusing his wife, beating her up because he was drunk after alcohol, and the scene where the uncle used to abuse his nephew, raping her. So we're coming to the closer that there are people who abuse children, and adults, they didn't believe if that the uncle and the whatever, they do abuse children, you know. Since we watch Soul City, we know that even the person who is HIV positive, you can eat with her, drink, hug her, you know. We didn't know that before. And then it's a program that you can watch with your family, you know.
There is a major difference. When we look at where we come from as Soul City and now, we have an evaluation states that, you know, people have access Soul City material. And not only that, but most people have changed their behavior when it comes to sexual behavior and the violence against women.
Let's go.
Today I will love.
Today I will give my compassion first and my judgment last.
15 godina nakon emitiranja prve epizode Soul City-a, Garth Jaffet na snimanju televizijskog filma Hopewell, u produkciji Heartlinesa, njegove nove producentske kuće, taj film više kulturološki pristupa problemima javnog zdravstva.
I will learn self-control because there's a time for everything in the
Now, I wanted to try and find a way to speak a language that was the same across, didn't matter whether you were rich, poor, black, white, religious, not religious. And to that language's values, compassion, love, these are things that if I ask any of you, if you have children, what do you want to teach them? I want to teach them to be people of responsibility, of courage, of people who will do the right thing. These are things that we wish for our children, we wish for ourselves, we just don't always do it. And my concept was that if I become more trustworthy, if I'm helped, challenged, not that I know that trust is a good thing, but I often struggle to live it out. So if I become challenged to become more trustworthy.
Values sustain any walk to freedom. And values commit us to a continuing walk.
If I become more trustworthy in one part of my life, it impacts on many other things. HIV, corruption, crime, all of these things. So that was the beginning of setting up a new NGO called Heartlines.
Thank you. My name is Tembandaba, and I'm an actor. And in this series, I play Amos.
And action.
The story is about second chances. So it is Amos' second chance to clean himself up, start all over again, and go for it. In our country, there's lots of people who I believe when they see the story will look at it and say, I'm an Amos. I can do it again. I can get up again.
And cut.
Na snimanju televizijskog filma Hopeville rade mnogi stanovnici Waterloo Bowna, no angažiranost Hardlinesa u ovoj zajednici mnogo šire. Gard Jaffet blisko surađuje s lokalnim vlastima. Cilj im je osigurati bolju infrastrukturu u mjestu i obnoviti redakcijska područja gdje se mladi ljudi mogu sastajati i baviti omiljenim sportom. Poput Garta Jaffeta i Jack Sim nastoji osigurati bolju kvalitetu života siromašnima. U Čnok-Tru na obali jezera Tonle Sap voda je izvor života. No s obzirom na to da ljudi ne čuvaju aktivno taj resurs, postala je izvor bolesti i smrti.
There are 14 communities here that are entirely living along the river. There are contamination of the water through their debris and their feces. The people here, do they understand that they need to have proper toilet and sanitation?
តាមការពិតគេយល់ប៉ុន្តែគេគ្មានជំរឿអីក្រៅពីដែលការទម្លាប់ដែលគេធ្លាប់រស់នៅ
So is it because there is no supply that they cannot buy it in the shop, or that they are not trained, or because they have no money? What is the level of awareness so far?
តាមការពិតវាផ្សារភ្ជាប់ទាំងអស់ទាំងចំណេះដឹងរបស់គាត់ផងដែរហើយរួមទាំងផ្នែកថវិកាហើយមួយចំណែកទៀតក៏មិនទាន់មានផ្នែកណាមួយនឹងចាប់អារម្មណ៍ឲ្យស៊ីជម្រៅចាត់ដោយទៅលើការងារគាត់ថាឲ្យមកធ្វើបង្ហាញឲ្យជាក់ស្ដែងនៅឡើយទេ
Najveći je izazov promijeniti mentalitet, uvjeriti ljude da će im nužnik u dvorištu biti jamstvo boljeg zdravlja cijele obitelji. No nagovoriti ljude u zabitnim i siromašnim područjima da kupe nužnik nije lak zadatak. Moramo otkriti načine kako ih uvjeriti da ulože u nešto što smatraju suvišnim. Kako bi se suočio s tim problemom javnog zdravstva, Jack Sim odabrao je pristup koji se temelji uglavnom na strategijama trgovačkog marketinga.
How long have you been staying here? If you want to drive a market economy, you have always to start with the motivational points that make the person emotionally attached to the subject. So when we travel to people's houses, we want to understand what makes them want to own toilets or what makes them don't think they need toilet. This kind of marketing is purely trend setting, and that's also a solution. When people can sell condoms, Michai in Thailand, another social entrepreneur, was able to change society from the red light district, the sex capital of the world in Bangkok, from not using condom to using condom by creating a trend. So I think if we stay and investigate deeper, we can create similar trends.
U Čnok-Tru katkad je teško uvjeriti ljude u potrebu da ulože novac u nužnike. Ista je situacija u kambodžanskom selu. Organizacija Linkaid, čiji je Jack Slim povjerenik, nastoji obiteljima objasniti potrebu kupnje nužnika.
How much does one? So basically, we are on land, and the situation is different from water. People have big houses, and many still don't have toilets. And so it is a priority that is forgotten because open defecation is a habit that came down from generations. And when we interview the people and ask them, why do you not have a toilet? Their answer is, we have the bush and we also have no money.
Dok se nekima kupnja nužnika ne čini bitnom, drugima je postala prioritet.
So, how long have you been staying here? And when did you first have the toilet over there?
ឆ្នាំតែមិញអត់មានប្រគុណចេះតែទៅក្នុងព្រៃក្នុងអីទៅបាត់ជើងក្នុងព្រៃក្នុងអីអត់មានប្រគុណអញ្ចឹងវាមានការផលវិបាកពេលបាត់ជើងធំជើងតូចអញ្ចឹងទៅដូចថាកូនវាច្រើនពិបាកហើយភូមិវាជាអៀតទៀតអញ្ចឹងវាមានការផលវិបាកបើខ្ញុំមកតស៊ូធ្វើប្រគុណនឹង
the system. I think that the lady who owns this place is fantastic. She's very hardworking and she takes her priority seriously. She sells her pig and a chicken to buy the toilet, which costs $270 US. She explained that the way to motivate the others who don't have toilet is first about the image. The most important thing for these folks is how to look good in the eyes of relatives, friends who are visiting their house. And having no toilet is very inconvenient for these people. And so for their image, they will be very motivated.
Danas se društvena uvjerenja napokon počinju mijenjati. Čak se pojavljuju ekološki zahodi.
This mentality of flush and forget is everywhere. When you see the modern toilet, we flush it with water and we don't think where it goes. In the water village, you see the same situation. It drops into the river and you don't know what, they don't see what is the problem they are creating. But in reality, the feces that go into the river over a long period contaminate the water in the river, and then they created a situation where the fish is dying and the children are swimming in the water, and they also in contact with all the pathogens and diarrhea situation when they drink the water from the river. They wash their clothes in the river. They wash their cups and saucer. They bathe their baby. So they need to understand that since they live from the river, they have to take care of the river. So initially, the conversation might be, I have no money. And in the end is, I'm going to have a toilet. So this is important to explore. But at no time should we present the solution so readily. We have to create choices and to see how they buy in. And once the triggering is clear, then it is an efficient market demand, not an artificial cut and paste solution.
U Indiji se zdravstveni sustav uglavnom financira privatno. Država plaća samo 10% pristojbi koje pacijent duguje za liječenje. Ostatak je obveza pojedinca, pa si zato siromašni ne mogu priuštiti zdravstvenu skrb. Mnogi Indijci imaju ozbiljne probleme s vidom i trebaju operacijski zahvat ili naočale. Stoga se financiranje bolnice Aravind planiralo imajući to na umu. Temelji se na preraspodjeli bogatstva. 30% pacijenata voljno je plaćati više cijene kako bi se siromašni mogli liječiti besplatno.
When we say that it is very difficult, you see, only 10% or 15% of the people, and have people who can afford to pay anything to get eye care. But 20% of the people, when you do the survey, who cannot afford any kind of treatment because they cannot pay anything. Only the middle, the tier 2, tier 3 people, 45% or 45 to 60% of the people who can afford to have something, pay something. So we have to program our any project to targeting towards these people and price your health care so that whatever they can afford to pay, you must be able to accept it. And that is why I say that the people who is willing to pay for surgery are supporting the people who cannot afford to pay.
Bolnički je sustav učinkovit, poglavito zbog kvalitetne naobrazbe osoblja i podjele rada.
The ophthalmologists in our system perform a little more than 2,000 surgeries per year on average. When you take the junior most experienced. And in comparison, the national average is around 400 in India. And many of the countries will be in the 100 or so. So they're very, very productive. And then what has made it possible is the support structure.
This patient is feeling a little hungry. He needs to go in for surgery, but since he's a little hard of hearing, he's very apprehensive, very scared of the happenings around. So I was just talking to him. He wants to have some breakfast, so probably we'll feed him something and then take him up for surgery.
Bolnica uspjehe duguje i vještinama svojih medicinskih sestara. Odabrane su zbog svojeg suosjećanja i posvećenosti.
The entire Aravind Eye Hospitals, the backbone is our nurses. Initially, we didn't have qualified nurses because they were going out for the other countries to make more money. So Dr. V said, why not we identify girls from the rural areas? So we started with small group. Now once in a year, we interview 500 girls. We select 500 girls every year. So we select all the girls after high school. We bring them to the hospital. We provide a free place, free food, and then we give some pocket money, and then train them for 2 years. The training is really very, very good, very tough. And the training is according to the various aspects of the eye hospital, like operation theatre, outpatient, ward, counseling, housekeeping. It depends, like wherever you want.
Nakon intenzivne bolničke obuke, bolničarke se obrazuju i za rad u ruralnim područjima. Da bi zadovoljila potrebe stanovništva, država bi trebala imati 5 puta više oftalmologa nego danas. Bolnica Aravind redovito šalje pokretne ekipe specijalista i bolničara u udaljena područja kako bi pružili osnovnu njegu.
We are expecting 250 as the outpatient total number. We are expecting 250 today, and we've been allotted 2 doctors to see the entire crowd. So the camp starts at 9 and it will go on till 3 o'clock, 3 to 4 o'clock. So as many patients come, we'll be seeing all of them.
Stvaranje veza s ruralnom zajednicom, liječenje oboljelih gdje god bili, to je ključ uspjeha bolnice Aravind.
We went out to the villages where the blindness problem was really huge. We took care of that. So the community accepted us as their partners. So that's a great success for us. Today the crowd is, we are seeing so many people. That is because the people accepted us as their hospital.
Zbog sve većeg broja pacijenata u bolnici su morali pronaći način da što više smanje troškove, što uključuje kupnju leća i naočala. Zato su stvorili Aurolab, laboratorij koji proizvodi sav kirurški pribor, umetke i stakla koji su pacijentima potrebni da bi dobro vidjeli. Zahvaljujući toj neovisnosti o velikim komercijalnim laboratorijima, pacijenti bolnice Aravind mogu nabaviti okvire i stakla za manje od $5. Uspjeh Soul Citya i Soul Bodysa je nedvojben. Te su obrazovne serije model javnog zdravstva koji je pohvalio UNESCO. Koncepcija Soul Citya prihvaćena je u mnogim afričkim i latinoameričkim zemljama. Istraživanja pokazuju da se ponašanje ljudi prema seksualnosti, kućnom nasilju i sidi promijenio od prvog emitiranja televizijske serije. Seriju su prihvatili mnogi južnoafrikanci jer su se gledatelji poistovjetili s likovima. Pojavljuju se zajednice koje se nazivaju Soul City. Utjecaj je velik.
In this country, our heroes are politicians. Our heroes are musicians, artists, actors. Those are our heroes. Those are the people I look up to. But the people who are making a positive impact to the life of people, we don't see them. And we don't see them as heroes. But you know what? I can tell you from the institution, educational institute, tertiary institution, people who are in the industry of development, they know the work of Dr. Garth Jaffet. They know the impact that he has done. Garth Jaffet has represented South Africa in huge countries, in big countries in Europe, talking about the impact Soul City has done in South Africa.
There were many other series that were revolving around the lives mainly of black people in this country, which are and were very popular. I think this was the first series that where people said this helps us live our lives. People say we love Soul City because we love the stories, but we love it more because it helps us live our lives. So the thing that people have really appreciated about Soul City is it's seen as something that helps. Behavior takes many generations to fix. So to undo things, to change things in 5 years, or 10 years, or 15 years, that's the one difference between when I was a doctor and I was dealing with the flesh, is that you can see change quickly. This type of work is for a whole lifetime. Africa is a difficult place. But in it is great soul. And this, I suppose, is why we do what we do. This is not a head thing. This is a heart thing.
Definitely directed to the heart. It hits, yeah.
I borba Jacka Sima je stvar srca, životni poziv, jer uspješno mijenjati duboko ukorijenjena stajališta i ponašanje trajan je izazov. I danas više od 1 milijun djece svake godine umire od bolesti povezanih s onečišćenom vodom. Iako je izvor života, voda donosi mnoge bolesti. Nemarno iskorištavanje prirodnih vodenih zaliha za odvodnju i umjesto zahodskih jama dijelom je uzrok ove situacije. Jack Sim to potpuno razumije, jer u Kambodži i svuda u svijetu bolje zdravlje stanovnika ovisi o slobodnom i lakom pristupu čistim, učinkovitim i ekološkim sanitarnim instalacijama. No da bi se prihvatili nužnici u svim dijelovima svijeta, stajališta se moraju promijeniti. Dostupni su resursi bogati, ali tabuji su čvrsto ukorijenjeni.
You know, the dean of the KO University told us once that in the university he could not find any faculty that is not related to toilets. So at first we were trying to think, okay, which one? So health related, architecture related, manufacturing related, design, law, and eventually we agree with him. Yes, it's true. There's nothing that is not related to the toilet because everything in the world is related to the human being. And the toilet is so intimate part of human survival. I guess this is the last item that people still haven't broke the taboo.
Kada je Jack Sim osnovao svjetsku organizaciju za nužnike, uvjerenja su se počela mijenjati. Sve se više ljudi iz svih skupina pridružuje njegovoj inicijativi.
We have mountain climber climbing for fundraising for World Toilet Organization, marathon runners, all kind of people are coming in and I think once we popularize the subject until it's ubiquitous, we will have very good quality of life every day, enjoyable visits to the toilet 6 to 8 times a day. We spend 3 entire years of our life inside the toilet. So it has to be good.
This is sand with this. And after you poop, you put some and you cover over the poop, right? Cover it like cat sanitation. Yeah.
I would see that in 10, 15 years, largely this problem will be transformed to positive and only a small population of the world will still have no access to proper sanitation. I think the momentum is now very, very fast.
U Indiji jednostavna očna bolest može izazvati ozbiljne probleme. No danas ljudi znaju da ih mogu liječiti profesionalci u uglednoj bolnici. I to uz minimalne troškove.
Our main strength is the community participation, community orientation. When we work with the community, we always tell them that this project belongs to the community. We go and help them. It's not the other way around. So that is how it helped.
Milijuni liječenih pacijenata i stotine tisuća obavljenih zahvata svake godine činjenice su koje jamče da Centar za liječenje očnih bolesti doista ima učinak na društvo. Nastala je sna doktora Venkata Svamija, bolnica Aravind ostvarila je pothvat pružanja usluga napredne očne skrbi siromašnima. Duh i energija doktora Vea ostaju pokretačka snaga u bolnici.
Every moment. So we always feel he is very much there, and we always feel he is channeling his thoughts through us. Now we are only vehicles for his thoughts and his actions. All of us have to go, but then you leave behind something when you go. And I think Dr. V is very much here.
San doktora Vea u dobrim je rukama. Oni koji su ga preuzeli neprestano smišljaju nove ideje kako olakšati pristup zdravstvenoj skrbi siromašnima. Oni nastavljaju njegovu misiju i uzdižu njegove vrijednosti.
I think sustainable development is getting a lot of focus now with the changing economic scenario, recession, etc. But put a person like Dr. V. When he started this organization, there was tremendous recession for him. He didn't have the money. He didn't have the resources. But he had a big dream. He had a dream that he had to serve every person.
There's no other model to copy. So now Aravind is giving models for others to copy. So it was fun, but today we are very, very proud. The Aravind Eye Hospital is very unique. It's not like any other hospital. Why? Not because it's machine, not because it's building, not because by the number, but the way we treat the patient. Dedication, sincerity, hard work, ethics, especially in health practice, compassionate care, affordability, free service. These things make Aravind as unique. So we would like to continue Aravind in the same style, and we want the companion or friends for the community and not in the hierarchy of the medical profession.
U Indiji, Kambodži i Južnoafričkoj republici. Ovo je troje tvoraca promjene ponudilo jednostavna i inovativna rješenja za probleme javnog zdravstva. Svjesno su odlučili prihvatiti izazov sprečavanja bolesti i uspješno obavili tu zadaću. S bolnicom Aravind, svjetskom organizacijom za nužnike i serijom Soul City, radili su izravno na terenu, informirajući i obrazujući ljude, skrbeći za bolesne i zapostavljene, uspijevajući mijenjati duboko ukorijenjena stajališta. Pristup zdravstvenoj skrbi nije luksuz rezerviran za bogate zemlje. To je opće pravo. Moraju ga svi imati.